Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where we are very untethered from our normal recording time.
Wow, did we lose a day?
Yeah, it's almost like it was a leap year.
Almost. Let's
Only
say.
in reverse.
Ooh,
Instead of gaining a day, we lost a day.
that's really awful.
It's unleap year.
Okay, so that means we can't sleep tonight or the next 2 nights in order to regain that day.
Something like that.
Okay. We'll
Anyway,
that. Yes.
I'm not Brad, and
I'm
that's
not
Josh. Yeah, but I am Josh, and that is Brad. And together we are Brad and Josh.
Ta-da. And back to our first show of the
World Shadow Relation, huh? So, we have some news. We have some new releases that we didn't know for sure were coming out this past week, which is why we didn't say a date last week.
I know, we weren't quite sure what was going to happen this week.
Yeah. Past experience is there's not really anything in the first week of the year. So, but yeah. And we have some highlights as well, I do believe. So, Brad, why don't you start us off with something that's a highlight?
All right. I actually do have a really good highlight this week. I was in Ozo's Lounge yesterday, which is a nice, quiet little spot hidden in Blastone, or Blaston. Blaston. And which is a great game, by the way. It's a really fun game, and on its own, the game itself is fantastic. I really have to say.
And it's a daily deal right now, too. So if you're happening to be watching this while we are recording this, you should go grab it.
Right, because it's on sale for its everyday price.
Yeah.
Chad's been work again. No, I know. It was kind of shocking. But, hey, it's Oculus. So anyway, hidden in Blaston is Ozo's Lounge, where you can meet up with friends. And they have a bartender who serves you drinks, and the back room's set up, nothing crazy new, but a really nice setup for something like Blastone, because you could talk with these friends, you can have friendly matches that you make with each other by doing fist bumps. The entire crowd could come watch you. Everybody that's hanging can grab like a port key out of Harry Potter, it's a sphere, and get transported into the arena where they can all watch you guys shooting at each other with these crazy weapons, and then go back and talk about it afterwards and play on the arcade. And the setup is truly unique, and I would like to see it used not only in other games, but maybe as a hub for Oculus. I mean, get together with your friends, grab the port key, go to wherever it is that you wanted to go, and you're all there together. It's like nothing works like that yet. So how come it's working on a side portion of a piece of a game?
Right.
With 8 players and able to transport you all simultaneously through a $10 game. And somehow Oculus hasn't been able to incorporate that into their system. So I'm having a hard time with that. That was a combination highlight, which I can get into further if you'd like, but also made me realize some of the depressing problems we're having with Oculus right now.
Even in the middle of a highlight, you'll find a low light.
I mean, seriously, I'm playing a $10 game, and I have to walk through a back alley. Seriously, a back alley where you could look up and see, the flying cars overhead, and you get scanned by a scanner that lets you into this private club where you can then get access to this arena to play. I mean, it's great. Why wouldn't that be something that would be an Oculus original, as opposed to a, hey, let's do this for a few minutes on the side? It just seems like the obvious entryway to a million different worlds.
Yeah. Speaking of, if I remember right, you've found out about that this morning, right?
The lounge?
Or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday when you did the marathon, right? And this the door that's easily overlooked that's on your right as you
It's
first
behind.
or something, right?
If you're looking at the duel to get started, it's behind you.
Ah, okay.
There would be no reason for you to look.
So it's an Easter egg, kind of.
Correct. And the reason they said it was an Easter egg is because they weren't sure they were going to keep it until they saw how people liked it and how well it functioned. And but meanwhile, I was in there with 8 people or 9 people, and it was functioning better than anything on Horizon, better than Rec Room, better than VR chat on the Quest. You know, and like
Cool.
I said, it was a side piece. So when
Yeah.
I see something like that being done by a developer who's not within Oculus, I just lose it because this is something I should have access to at all times.
Well, 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 just remember this. At some point, Oculus will start developing a product that will do that as well, and then they will shut off Blaston's ability to do it.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt. You know, it's like virtual desktop. I am sure they're going to find a way, and SideQuest, I am sure they're going to find a way to ride over these guys.
I don't know. I hope not. But anyways, moving on to my highlight.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple highlights. I got to ride a sandworm.
Oh, how was that in the XR?
Yeah, yep, yep. And the WebXR thing. And it was fun. It was a little bit boring after a while because there's nothing to do except ride
Right.
the sandworm. And if you try to run into the sandworms, you just go right through them and you discover that they are hollow on the inside. There is no collision on them yet, so you just go right through them.
Doesn't break the immersion at all.
No.
Yeah.
But it has now. I don't know how close they want to get to the original because of copyright issues. Because they don't call these the sandworms; they call them death devils. I'm like, why don't they look like whirlwind then? No, but you should control left and right by moving your hands left and right, and then pull towards your face to slow down. So more like a horse than how the actual sandworms were actually ridden. Um, the sandworms were done more like how the pod racing is done, if I remember right. Pulling on one or the other, you know, because
Well,
you're lifting the scale, you know.
yeah, what you were doing was you were exposing the soft underbelly to
Right.
the irritation of the sand so that everybody would have to like shift left to make sure
Right.
that, you know, so you'd have
Yeah.
150 people on the back of the sandworm, shift left, shift right, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that would be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Let's get a 150 multiplayer game to move this worm around. But they said that the scale was really good. That was what they were impressed with, was the scale. So,
Yeah.
but I would love a game where they have you actually crawl up the side of one of those worms and then take control. That should be fun. But
Yeah, that'd be cool. Having to wait for it to come at you and then dodge to the side and
right,
hook onto it.
right.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Exactly. That's just it. Those grappling hooks that you put in those scales to pull them back, and just
Yep.
the whole idea of being able to tame this gigantic creature that would consume cities.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, and you're riding it like it's your pony. It's pretty,
Right.
it would be awesome to get that in a real game.
Yeah, it would. And no, I mean it went smooth. There was no stuttering. It was like I don't know if it was procedurally generated or just mapped out to a really big scale, but I went for a few minutes just going straight, and I never ran out of sand dunes, or I didn't come to the edge of the world, or so
I would imagine sand is pretty easy to replicate.
yeah, yeah. The procedurally, yeah,
Right.
that'd be one of the easier things, yeah. Um, and also, um, I have joined the iPhone crowd, somewhat reluctantly, but as a result of it, I have access to better AR stuff than currently exists on the Google platform. And one of the things that is on there is this. It's called Jig Space, and I don't know if you can make out there, but it has
Okay.
various lessons or whatever, and it's got like a coral reef, coronavirus, it's the battle of marathon, heroes, steam engine, the gramophone, and all those use use augmented reality to place the object in the real world, and then you can share it as a presentation. You can just watch it yourself, but it has informational text and some animations of the object. You can turn it to scale it bigger or smaller and go through all the information on it. And you can and there's a 3D recorder app on there that uses LiDAR with the depth sensing of the LiDAR to create a three-dimensional video. Not quite volumetric because it's not from all sides, but it's like half volumetric, 0.5. So
Okay. Ironically, I had all of those things in my Zenfone AR a few years ago,
I know.
which Google killed. So, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, Apple is now exactly where Google was 3 years ago,
Yes,
which
which
kills
annoys
me.
the heck out of me as well because I prefer the Google approach in the UI and everything. Yeah,
I know. I had LiDAR. I was able to take three-dimensional videos and picture and put them back into the Daydream headset and
right,
watch them
right,
right back on the same device I recorded them with, and that's gone now. Now I'm using
yeah,
R-Core, which gives me the same type of stuff you have with different figures, and you can go up
yeah,
and they have all different objects that
yeah.
are
But it doesn't have the lidar
right.
and all the other stuff, right?
Exactly.
But maybe now that Apple is using lidar so much in all of his phones, except for the non-Pro line, um, maybe that'll push more Android ones to get back into having lidar. Who knows?
Android's whole attitude towards everything has been a software. Let's improve the software approach.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and they have done a lot with that.
right,
I mean, it's an amazing OS. It came from worse than the original iPhone was to now, in many ways, it's better than the original, or it's better than the current iOS because iOS copies from Android.
right, I know. I'm well aware of this. And I really don't want to leave the Android system, but I'm definitely upset that they dropped ARKit. I mean, their version of ARKit
Right? Yeah, I know.
for this. So yeah, they downgraded their entire AR system. But then again, they're not pushing their glasses so quick anymore, and Apple is. So Apple really needs this a lot more now
Yeah.
than
Yes.
Google does. So
You're right.
that's
Yeah.
why they're there,
Yeah.
which is a sad state, actually.
Yeah. So, and of course, there's also that remote control car app that I mentioned to you about in the Discord. It
Mhm.
um, Jig Space doesn't really make use of lidar so much because it doesn't have occlusion. It still overlaps on the real world instead of going behind it.
Right.
but the remote control car one does. I was able to take the remote control car, ram it into my son's foot, and it stopped. And then, as the real remote control car does, it started, you know, it started toppling over because it was trying to climb up, you know.
It's pretty cool. I like that.
So,
But
and all without hurting my son's foot at all because it wasn't the real car.
well, that's good. Otherwise, you would have heard about that.
And it doesn't bother the dog because he can't see it.
That's true. You have to get him those goggles that the military is advertising for.
Maybe.
So,
AR goggles with the dog, yeah.
But you know, it's weird because we've been playing Angry Birds in AR on Google phone, on any Google phone for years now. So, like at least a year and a half.
Right.
And that also does have occlusion. Some of the apps do have occlusion. So once again, I think that they just think.
Well, there's on the Android phones, I believe they are using software occlusion because you can use computer vision and machine learning and all that to figure out, okay, this is supposed to be here, this based on our computer vision algorithm is here, so this should be behind here when you move to this angle, and you know.
Right.
But I haven't done a direct comparison, nor have I watched a direct comparison, but I'd imagine that the software-based one that's only software probably lags a little bit behind in responsiveness on the LiDAR-based one. But I don't know for sure because I haven't done a comparison.
That's the thing is I was going to say that I do remember, and I don't know if we talked about the way that Google has developed their system so that they could take literally tens of thousands of photographs taken from different angles of these monuments and objects and put them all together seamlessly and create not only a three-dimensional picture or video, but an actual three-dimensional printed object from those. And that's coordinating, like I said, tens of thousands of images to create. So, yeah, they're pretty full.
Yeah, that's the photogrammetry, but yeah. And no, I mean, so software or hardware based, it's kind of amazing.
It is. That's what I'm saying. So considering they can do that software based on an algorithm, then I'm pretty sure that they're saying like, screw the mechanics of it, we can do this. Speaking of screw the mechanics of it, I don't know if you saw, and I know I'm jumping around a little this week.
That's right.
Forgive you. Thank you. I hope everybody out there does too. That Facebook is working on a mechanical system to eliminate the screen door effect.
Yes. We were going to talk more about that in the news, but yeah.
Okay. Talk about moving back.
Jumping around.
Okay, there I am. I guess I'm like, Billy in Slaughterhouse 5. I'm just going to keep jumping around here. And that to me was amazing. It's like, seriously, now you're going to go, you just eliminated the screen door effect on the Quest 2. So now you're going to add.
Almost eliminated. They can still be seen.
Yeah, but seriously.
It's not in the face.
It's, I don't know. I don't see where they're going to really, unless they're creating an entirely new VR system. Or maybe it might be the half dome. I don't know.
I don't think that the Quest 2's screen door effect is enough to bother anybody but the most super sensitive people at this point. However, maybe they're going after to, take care of even those people. I don't know.
I did see screen door effect, and as we all have agreed over the years, it really doesn't get in the way when you're playing. But even in the Quest 2,
even on the Gear VR, Um, I didn't care about it. I mean, and it was on a relative basis, the screen door effect on the Gear VR was like
Right.
that, you know, as
Right.
opposed
So,
to, you know, how it is now, you know.
right,
But
exactly. It was insane when you look back now. Yeah, crazy. Um, and speaking of crazy, it's sort of like Res Infinite. I was reading some articles today. Sorry, jumping around again. And these people just praising this game that's 20 years old and is
right.
still in 2D, while they're in VR claiming how immersive it is. And I'm thinking, I don't think I want to follow these people's reviews on other games at this point because, I didn't buy Mare, which looks like an absolutely beautiful game.
It does. We might as well transition into that now because that was one of the surprise new releases last week.
Okay.
We never did get an official release date before, but it came out last week.
Right. We
So
and
go
we
ahead.
spoke about it a little bit, and we were
Yeah,
wondering, is this really going to
yeah,
be like controlling a third? Yes.
right.
You are
Yes.
basically not involved in this game at all. It's sort of like, flip
Well,
and
yeah, it's like Myst originally was point and click, but you are controlling a bird, which is in turn controlling things in the game to help a little girl that we know nothing about.
wandering through a tortured landscape that we are
Yes.
wondering about, and we
Yeah.
don't know why we're doing this.
Right. And the concept of that mystery and the beautiful graphics and the soundscape that I heard when I watched a few minutes of Gamer Tag, I think, is to playing it. I mean, it looks great. It sounds great. It's just, I've also heard that it's short.
And boring.
Well, I haven't heard that, but I didn't. I probably just hadn't run across that part yet.
Oh,
But and it's like how the original Mist was, not very much hand holding, not very much explanation of what's going on. You've got to figure it out by doing it. So it's got all the right elements, but I don't know if they all come together enough. You know?
yeah, we talked about that when we talked about the room and the availability of hints when a situation becomes impossible to continue with, unless you go to YouTube and watch somebody else figure it out and then
Right.
copy it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sort of on the fence with hints, but I think that when you get to a part of the game that really doesn't have a logical reason to do what you're doing, there should probably be some sort of hint. You know?
Well, um, the room needed hints because some of their stuff was stuff that there's no way you would have thought
Right. There was no logic to it.
to do that. Yeah, but if a puzzle game is designed right, in my opinion, per the rules of that game, everything will fit in the logic of the rules of that game.
Right. I agree.
And so you shouldn't need hints. I mean, some of them may be difficult to figure out exactly what and in exactly what order or whatever, or what this clue means, but you should know that it's a clue, and you should know that it's you should be able to figure out at least eventually that it's something that has to be done in a certain area or whatever, based on the logic, and that should be established in the first few puzzles how the puzzles work. So
Well, true, how the puzzles work. Although I will say that at one point when I was playing Star Wars, there were a few times that I found hidden places where there were weapons and caches, only because it was like, hey, that looks interesting. It wasn't because there was any reason to go in there. It was
right.
just us, well, that
Well,
looks,
yeah,
let me
yeah.
go
I
in there.
mean, and there are things, or uh, there is room for rewarding exploration. Yes, but like one of the puzzles that in the room that stumped me for the longest time was the organ,
Of course, I knew you were going to say
the
the
pipe
organ.
organ.
Of
You
course.
know, because once you shrink down and you're up in the pipe area and you turn the crank and all that, and now you're supposed to get down to way over there to grab the key or whatever that you need. You can't get there because it won't let you to teleport there.
Right.
And it took me forever. I went through all the hints that didn't help. It wasn't until I asked another member of Discord, and then I figured it out. And I mean, his explanation was a little hard to understand as well because it's hard to describe it. He described it as a railing, which to me means so this way, but no, it was a railing going this way. It was the handle so you could turn a giant circle thing.
Right. Like a tunnel in order to be able to get to the right. There were
Right.
several things like that though, where
And that was it didn't light up enough when you went over it with your hand to indicate there was an interactable object. So things that are hard because of obscurity are the ones that just make people go, eh, you know. So
right. Yeah, exactly. If it's just there to stall you or make the game longer, it's not so great.
right,
And I guess, there's a degree of difficulty which really amazes me in puzzle games because some puzzle games have puzzles which are incredibly easy and incredibly difficult in the same game. So,
right,
and not necessarily in a level where it increases in difficulty, but sometimes in the middle of the game it gets harder than at
right,
the end. So,
right. And having watched Jurassic World replays or playthroughs, um, the puzzles in that, the hardest one is just hard because of timing it right. You know, it's one where it's going like that, and you gotta just stop it while it's in the zone. You know, and none of the puzzles make sense in the narrative of the game. I mean, who does a Simon type puzzle as a lock for a computer? You know, to do that and then go, doo, 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 doo. You know, really?
really? Okay. Well, I've told you I have the game Trover Saves the Universe, and at one point you get a puzzle like that, and he starts
Right.
screaming, "Who the hell puts a puzzle like this in a game?" I mean, it's like, so yeah,
Yeah. Well,
it depends on the game you're playing, but a puzzle to extend the game is stupid. A puzzle to enhance the game is great.
yeah, like in Half-Life Alex, most of the puzzles there, while not too hard, they did enhance the game because it makes sense, kind of as a alien version of a combination lock or whatever, you
Right.
know. So
Right. If they make it fit the game, then it's fine. As absurd as it might be, if it fits the game, it's fine.
right, right,
If it doesn't fit the game, it doesn't matter how elegant it is because it
right,
doesn't fit. So it's like a very simple
right,
thing, So
right,
they sort of have to get into it.
right. So, anyways, Mayor looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. I'm not uh, entirely sure that it would be a buy recommendation from me. I mean, I love the idea. I don't necessarily mind third person. I am controlling something else, and that is the main character thing. But third person twice removed is a little bit weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I stopped short because it's one thing when they call a game a work of art, which there's a few games out there which they call a work of art, which usually means not a great game, but visually very appealing.
You are confusing work of art with a piece of work. No.
No, they
Anyways,
are.
go on, go on, go on.
No, this is in my, obviously I wander through the reviews at times, seeing what people have to say. And once again, visually, I was drawn to this game from the very first, and I loved playing Moss, and I love the diorama type games. And to me, they're fun and they're intriguing, and they take me into a completely different world that I could never play in other than in VR.
Right.
I don't want to be third person removed. To me, you might as well put me in front of a TV set.
Right. And there's also, I don't know if this was a design decision to prevent motion sickness, which is becoming less and less of an issue, really. But you have the bird fly to its new point, it lands there, and then you're there too. It's a blink, it's a teleport. It's kind of like one of the locomotion options in VR chat, which is called holoportation or holoport movement or whatever. It's where you move in the direction you want to move, and your avatar walks or runs or whatever to where you want to move. You release, and then you are teleported into it.
Yeah, not thrilled with that one. Really, just I want to be able to free roam. I want to be able to feel like, even if I'm standing still and using the joystick, I want to feel like I'm walking through this scene, which is one of the reasons why I won't do cyber shoes, because I don't want to sit and walk backwards during
You
this.
don't want to squat walk?
No, I really don't. I just can't see me not being aware that I'm doing that at all times during a game. So that's...
Now, if they came up with a cyber shoes solution that works for standing, then maybe.
Right. Exactly.
But then you'd probably also need a harness around your waist, like you do in the treadmill, to make sure you don't fall over because of how swift the cyber shoes are, or.
Right. And not just that, but I mean, to this day, as much as my VR legs have strengthened, if you put me at a height, my body will physically react to that height. I mean, my stomach will drop, even though I know if I put my foot forward, I'm still standing on the same floor where I'm standing, and that is just a complete illusion. But my stomach still drops, and I have to overcome a physical inertia in order to be able
So, in other words, what you are saying is we need to get a video of you doing Richie's plank experience.
Oh, no, that's never happening. Never happening. Anyone who attempts it will die. It's a warning. But yeah, no, I would never, ever consider Richie's plank. Never. You don't understand. To me, that's my nightmare.
I did the Face Your Fears, one where the fear of heights, and you're on top of the building and it starts toppling and whatnot, right? I didn't have any problem. But that's me.
Well, that's just it. Is I flew around in VR Agent, and I didn't have a problem with that. So some games seem to overcome it, and some games seem to not. And I don't know if the ones that don't overcome it are the ones that are more realistic because they make my stomach drop. It's like
probably.
It probably is.
And some people want that feeling because that's what you get when you ride a roller coaster, and some people are roller coaster addicts.
I know. To me, those are the rides I dread the most on my VR headset, or the roller coaster ride. It's like, don't make me. The only one I ever enjoyed was Combat Coaster because you were doing something.
I don't like them because I don't really get that. You don't really feel like you're on a roller coaster. So to me,
well. No, but they do get you dizzy in that respect.
But they can't.
They throw your brain around a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay with that, then that's fine. But
yeah. Anyways, before we get too much into just rambling as a result of Mare, let's jump into the other new game we had, which was Holofit.
No. I'm not jumping into another subscription game. This is like Supernatural all over again.
yeah, I mean, I get the idea. It's a fitness thing, and people do subscriptions for fitness things because of the gyms and all that. But this isn't a gym.
Not
You
only
know?
is it's not a gym, there are programs. If you want to set it into a gym that VZ Fit, will then accommodate you for riding a
Right.
bike. And
Well, I think it is just a subscription as well, though, isn't it?
I
The
think
Easy
so
Fit?
too. It
Yeah.
used to be. I don't know if it still is. I just follow
Yeah.
Mr. Philip Joel and find out what's
Yeah.
going on in the VZ Fit world.
Yeah. But I mean, I like the idea of this. It's got it connects with a few different s- machines and whatnot, and like a treadmill or rower, etc. And you can have it either connect with a sensor, or you can have it detect based on your head movement and your arm movement or whatever.
Mhm.
I do like that idea, but I don't know that I would like it enough to spend $10 a month on it.
Well, that's just it. I believe that HoloFit was actually a gym before this started, and they did have
I,
equipment that you could
I
bring your
think
equipment.
so.
And I think they're just trying
You
to
may be right. Yeah.
make it, something. It's sort of like Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. I mean,
Right.
nobody going to Disney, they were able to take that, which was supposed to be a part of their VR
Right.
exhibit, and said, "Here you go. Since there's no other way to do it, you can buy this
Right.
from."
Right. So I mean, it looks like a good app. I haven't heard too much one way or the other about it. Partially because I myself was more interested in seeing how Mare was, because it was a more visually interesting looking game. Uh, but hey, if you are into fitness and you want to do more than just squatting and arm waving, Holofit may be better for you than Supernatural.
I don't know. I really
Or you
don't.
can go to SideQuest and get VR workout for free.
And do you know how many different games there are that you could actually play and not feel like you're working out, as opposed to
Yep.
feel like you're working?
Yeah.
To me, I don't get
Almost
why.
all of them.
Right. Why would you reproduce drudgery
Right.
as opposed to the fact that no, you
Right.
could do this without thinking about exercise. And when you
Right.
come out of it, you're in better shape than when you started. To me,
Right.
that's great. The idea of, hey, let's replicate how terrible it was being in the gym for an hour.
Well, I mean, uh, I can get where they are coming from, because if you are using a rowing machine, it can be pretty boring. But if you can put on VR goggles and be on a river rowing, it makes it fun.
It's an awful expensive accessory.
What makes it more fun?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's like, yeah, I'm sure that Phantom Ops would be more fun if you had a boat floating in the water and,
That'd be dangerous, because what if you tipped over? Quest gone.
well, if you use the Elite battery strap and you make sure that it's held in place with bungee cords, yeah. But seriously, you know what I mean? It's like, if you have to use the physical piece in order to be able to appreciate the virtuality of it,
Well, no. So this is intended as the virtuality to enhance the physical.
right. Like I said, I believe it was a gym
Yeah.
to begin with, so it's
Yeah.
just recreating gym environment. And I would rather have them recreate that sci-fi environment that I could never really go to, and let me.
Like Doom 3.
Ooh, is that coming out Monday? Is that tomorrow?
I think it might be out today, because I think I heard yesterday today, but it's either today or Monday. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do believe.
I do believe that
And
was.
on SideQuest, brought to you by the famous Dr. Beef.
Who seems to be better at making these. I don't understand why he's not working for some of these
I don't
companies.
know.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
don't. Maybe they made him an offer, then he refused, because none of them have yet made him an offer that he couldn't refuse.
Well, that would mean he'd never do anything again, because that offer tends to expire with your expiration. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I mean, he has done amazing work in the supports of all of these the games, and
Incredible odds.
Doom 3 is probably going to be amazing on Quest. So
it looks gorgeous. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But today, ironically, I was reading about the guy who was talking about how much he loved his Quest 2 and the amazing OLED screens in it, and how he's using the right side port for his headset. And I think somebody should let him know that that's a Quest 1, not Quest 2, because he's also advocating the way that the grips feel. You know, like, I don't know what he's on, but somebody send this guy mushrooms or something.
Well, neither one has a port on the right side.
Correct.
No. On the left too.
The Quest 2 is on the left, yes, but the original Quest had one on each side.
Well, for the headphones, yes.
Right.
They're not for the cord. I thought you were meaning the cord.
He had his cord from his headset plugged into.
Okay.
Because they both gave you, if you only plugged into one, it would give you stereo. Supposedly, if you were plugged into both, it was giving you 3D audio.
You'd get quadrupio.
Yeah, okay.
Or something, I don't know.
I don't know. R2D4, I don't know. But yeah, it was okay. I missed them though.
I mean, I kind of wish that they had stayed with the dual audio ports, because I do prefer plugging in on the right side than on the left. You know, because with everything on the left, things can get a little, you know, but with being able to plug it in on this side, yeah.
Well, I liked having just the two cords to be able to put in, as opposed to one that's dangling here and one that's dangling by my waist, you know, and it's like...
And it also made it super easy for the content developers to be able to hear the audio from the game and to record the audio from the game into a little pocket-worn recorder or something, you know.
I know. I don't get it, but you know, they're working on it. What can I say? The other problem, I think, is the lenses on the Quest 2, the curvature on those lenses. If you don't have anything on, so there's no light coming from even the O or anything, you'll see that there's on either side, there's a slight curvature that picks up light inside of the headset and refracts back. Disappears when there's other light coming through it from the other side. But if it's completely turned off, and you could try it, turn off your headset while it's on your head so that there's no other light coming, and you'll see on both sides a slight curvature.
I've had it turned off and I haven't noticed anything.
Okay.
But maybe I'm just wearing it in a way where light is not coming in.
Light's not coming into mine either, which is why I was very confused as to what was going on with that. But I'm not setting.
Maybe you have a defective unit then.
I was thinking that, because I've read other people saying that they've had one lens or the other, and to me it was always more noticeable on the left. When they were both turned off, I noticed it on the right as well. So,
anyways, on to news. Now that we are 43 minutes into, well, I think this is including our talking said before, so we're about 40 minutes into, I think, maybe.
Okay. So. That would be good timing for news.
Yes. So, that's all the news we have. No.
No, I guess the newest. Go ahead.
The Pavlov has a tank update. So you can have tank warfare and World War II weaponry in Pavlov. And from some gameplay that I have seen of it, the models and guns and whatnot look a lot better than they do in Medal of Honor. Really,
Really?
they did. I mean, Medal of Honor right now, everything in the multiplayer is really janky looking, you know.
Oh man,
But
yeah.
in the Pavlov, I saw a gamer tag, I think, doing it. It looked great. Granted, he was just shooting a machine gun out the side of the tank, and then their tank got destroyed. But
That sounds like an
it
interesting.
just happens,
It's better than having it just go right through it.
Yes.
Like yourself. Dust devil. Sorry.
But yeah, it looks like a fun update, and this is, I believe, the PC version of Pavlov only. It's not on the Quest version. So, will it come to the Quest version? I think eventually it's supposed to, but I'm not sure.
I know, that's just it, is them trying to hold back that Quest 2 to keep up with the Quest 1.
Oh.
I know Elven Assassin just updated their engine.
Right.
So, wow, that fits into this category. And the game looks beautiful. And the gameplay was smooth. I played it for a couple of minutes last night because I wanted to see if the gameplay really looked that good. It does. It's been an incredible improvement. Right. But one of our Discord members was saying that it was janky when it was player versus player. So
I think, he was saying that he was getting stuttering when he was by himself too.
Right. But he's on a Quest 1, so now we're wondering if that's pushing, if that engine's pushing Quest 1 further than it can be pushed.
Right.
So yeah.
Which may mean that if you want to play it, you need to reboot the Quest first so that it's got all of the resources available.
Correct. Yeah. It should be overcomable, but see what happens.
Yeah. And the next bit of news is what we alluded to earlier. Facebook is exploring mechanical display shifting to reduce screen door effect, or SDE.
Right.
It's basically just like the holograms that you can get by spinning things around. The motion disappears, and all you see is the image.
Mm-hmm.
So
terrible idea. Really, really awful. Because how are you going to do that with color? Well, it's always going to be a circle.
It remains to be seen how well it works. I don't think we've seen any demos of it yet online or whatever, but the concept, in theory, I understand, is just getting the timing right of shifting the screen and updating the pixels to be those in between pixels, and then back and have it be the regular pixels, and
But you're talking about
that's good to be, got to be incredibly complex.
That's like the old 3D on Sega 25 years ago,
right?
Years ago, or in the movie theaters when they gave you the ones that were flickering back and forth, right? The 60th of a second to give you not only a 3D effect but an immense headache that was going to take a week to get.
I never used those ones, so I have no clue what it was like.
Oh yeah, I had them for my Sega, and I mean it was great playing Zaxxon and some of the games back then that were in 3D, and some of them had actual depth, where the game was super, super deep, and the headache and the fact that the lenses were so dark in order to be able to wipe out the other image as well. It was crazy. You were playing the game and you had to take the glasses off to see the screen before you could put the glasses back on and see it in 3D. So I don't know what they're going to do here, but to me it seems like they overcame the screen door effect 98% with the Quest 2.
Yeah. I mean, I can still see it if I look for it, but it's not obtrusive at all, and it doesn't get in the way at all. It's the only time it really gets in the way is if you're trying to look across the desert and go, is that a marsoc or is that a palm tree? But that's more a function of draw distance at that point, you know.
Exactly. So yeah, it's, we'll see what happens.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's already a lot better. And I'm not entirely sure that there's really a strong need for this, but it is kind of cool, you know.
The only way I could see the need, honestly, is if they're going to expand their FOV,
Yeah,
and then
and they need to use a lower resolution screen because of that or something. Yeah,
right, then I could see that perhaps becoming
yeah,
something. But then with eye tracking, you get the entire everything working together.
right.
I just don't know if that's what they have in mind, or if they haven't even thought of that. If they watch this, combine the two guys, you know.
Yeah. Um, that reminds me. An IMAX VR headset, 180-degree field of view headset.
I,
Not the IMAX.
yeah, that Pimax, man, that just makes you look like it should be covered in tinfoil. You know, but someday, who knows? You know, when Pimax takes over the VR universe, we'll see who's laughing then. You know?
Yeah, never know. Also, speaking of WebXR, which we were earlier, Somnium Space now has WebXR access into its world, so that from pretty much any VR headset you can join in Somnium Space and explore the parcels. And they will be expanding this more and more as time goes on. So,
A lot of people are working in XR now, and if
yeah.
they hold to a standard, it could become something.
I haven't checked out the Somnium Space one yet, but I did just check out briefly the crypto parcels or whatever one, you know, one of the other ones that had a web interface version, and it worked, but it was like 23.5 frames per second or something like that. So,
Please, I need Dramamine just from saying that. It's
so it
yeah,
didn't work too well, but it did kind of work. Yeah. So
and that could be
hopefully the Somnium Space one works a lot better. So
and that's going to be a function of server, internet,
yeah,
all of that stuff. Because you're playing
yeah,
literally XR, and you're at the mercy of completely at the mercy.
yeah, yep. Speaking also of XR, you can design and play VR platformers via WebXR with another WebXR app that was out there. You can jump in with the Oculus Quest 2 and design basically an optical course, and then run a player character through it, and it can be shared with other VR headsets and with regular flat screen users as well. So, excuse me, I had a hiccup that I was trying not to let out.
Okay, not well hidden, but definitely disguised.
So that's pretty cool. You know, the more things you can design within VR that are intended for use in VR, you know, that it always has seemed to me that the most natural way of going about it. You know, is use VR to design for VR, because then a lot of the issues are already automatically solved, like how at Ford they can use Gravity Sketch to design a concept of a car, and it's already at the right scale. They don't need to mess with the scale at all, because it's designed around a human mannequin in a seated position. You as the designer can be there and reach out and go, "Yep, that's about. Yeah, no, I wanted it a little bit closer. No, I wanted it a little wider. Okay, there we go. Perfect. You know,
Right, you're sitting in a car that exists only in your mind, and you're making
right,
it so. So it's
right,
perfect. Right.
right, right. So the more VR design tools we can get, the better, I say.
Well, both
And if
VR
it's
and
on WebXR, that's even better because then it's accessible anywhere.
I know WebXR does have so much promise to be the
Yeah,
cloud version of VR.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, but that would be great if they can go that way. I just don't see the monetization yet at this point, so we'll have to see what happens.
Well, this particular one is just a concept, that's being worked on. It's like a tech demo, basically.
Right.
I don't know if he's got monetization in mind at some point. He might. I mean, I hope for his sake that he does, so that he gets some reward other than accolades out of it. So,
I know accolades are nice, but cash gets you more.
yeah,
So yeah, it would be nice to see it, and that's what I think is, when people have a great idea is when it can be monetized. If they have an okay idea, then it's a demo.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
tends to stay.
And some people have great ideas that they just leave as demos and never monetize them.
Right.
Some people have things that should really have been enough as a demo and try to monetize them.
That's the worst. It's one
Yeah.
thing to, but no, it's also bad to leave a great game behind too. That's always heartbreaking to see, but
Yeah.
sort of like Slightly Heroes.
Yes, I know. That was a shame. That would have done awesome on Quest. I mean, it was already on Rift. It was already set up for exactly what Quest is.
Right.
But then King got a hold of it and said,
I don't understand. I really don't understand that at all. Oh, and the
yeah,
other thing I'm sure you must have on your notes is about I don't remember his name, one of the designers from Google who left Google for a super secret, amazing project that involves Space Pirate Trainer. I wonder if it's
yeah.
the super
He
secret.
was on the Tilt Brush team. He was one of the people behind the Tilt Brush, and now he's working for the devs of Space Pirate Trainer. We
Oh,
don't
no,
know exactly what he's working on, but
really?
we are hoping that it is using Tilt Brush like stuff to design your own robot enemies to then shoot. No, no.
No, I was thinking more like he's going to be involved in Space Pirate Trainer Arena or Space Pirate Arena, which we were promised how long ago?
Just quite a while.
Right. So I think that, since he's involved with the guys from Space Pirates, and Space Pirates, although it's a very good game for newcomers to VR and for a quick
Yeah,
trip.
it gets a little old after a while, as all wave-based things do, really. Except there's no end to it.
Yeah, it's an advanced demo, basically, to me,
Yeah,
anyway, at this point.
yeah. I mean, it's a good game, and I've got it on Steam because of a humble bundle thing. So,
Right. I've had it for forever. I don't know even when I got it. I think came with my game, at the
oh yeah,
time.
and it was one of the ones that was used as a demo at all the Microsoft stores and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah,
And it was fun. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that after a while, any game, like you said, any wave-based game that doesn't sufficiently advance you
right.
is become sort of the same thing over and over again. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
think,
and
"Whoa."
it's not like we are in the same situation that we were when we were children and limited only to those same 5 or 6 Atari 2600 cartridges. So we had to play that wave-based game over and over again because that's all we had.
Exactly.
Oh wait, I'm just showing my age here, aren't I?
Um, I think we've given that away before in some of the things
Yeah.
we discussed, but yeah, Atari
I think
20.
this gives it away right here.
You think? Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. So we're log in the tooth. What are you going to say? Um, Still, you had Pong, the original Pong?
Yes.
Okay. Me too.
Or with the paddle controllers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was able to play against myself. When you got down to where the paddles were the same size as the pong ball, and you were just playing against yourself at these incredible speeds, and you were going like, "Okay, done." Mine also
I
had,
beat this game. Boring.
and I remember them saying at the time that they felt that pong was going to be the fastest a human would be able to interact against a computer.
Well, IBM also said once, why would a person ever need more than whether it's 32 megabytes or
I think, well, like Timex started with what, the 2K, and there was no such thing as a hard drive. It was like,
right,
okay,
right, yeah,
who needs a hard drive? Right. Who needs to
yeah,
store?
yeah. But now everyone's like, yeah, you need as much space as you can get, you need as much RAM as you can buy.
Only if you want it to be good for the next 6 months.
Right.
Uh,
So moving on, because we're now at the 1 hour mark.
okay.
The Haptics has a Population 1 mod. I believe this is only for the PC at this point. It's not for Quest, although they are, I believe, hoping to bring the Haptics integration to the Quest as well. There are some Quest games that have the Haptics integration, so it'd be cool if they got it in to Population 1, has it integrated. So
Well,
that'd be pretty awesome.
I looked at getting a B-Haptics vest, but really for the amount of games that it's currently available
I
for.
know. Well, that's why the most recent version of the vest is a little bit better than the older version, because the older version only worked with games that were compatible with it. The the newer version has a Wooter vest mode. Basically, they don't call it that, obviously. Whereas just going off of the audio from the game and is doing haptics based on the audio. So,
Right.
which is more universally compatible.
Right.
As long as the game has good enough bass on the audio, it can work. So,
Right. Once again, once they get it working right, it is definitely more immersive than not.
yeah. And I would love to have any sort of haptic vest because I'm hard of hearing and I have a really hard time in many games and in real life too, telling if the sound came from that way or that way or that way or that way.
That
So
could be
I've got to
disorienting.
I've got to twist and turn my head and hope that the sound continues long enough for me to triangulate. Okay, that way. You know.
Well, the thing that disorients me about this entire situation is when I was playing my Xbox 360 and they introduced the ability to play around the world and we had the interconnectivity, and I would be able to play these games and I would hear somebody sneaking up behind me on the left side on these crappy speakers that were included with the Xbox. And now I can't hear that anymore. So
Right.
why are they calling this spatial audio if it has nothing to do with spatial audio? Occupying space doesn't make it spatial. It's like,
Well, it makes it kind of spatial.
oh yeah,
Also makes it kind of specious, but
it's a
it's
specious spatiality. Yeah. But
speciously spatial.
specially, yeah. But yeah, no, to me, they still have work to do. There's some games that have really gotten it down and they've taken the time on their audio, but very few. Honestly, very few.
Yeah, and uh, one of the reasons I am so interested in getting one, though I can't afford one quite yet, is it's been shown that haptic feedback, even just a wrist worn thing that does a louder or a harder vibration if the sound is on the right, the sound on the left, that really helps hard of hearing people greatly improve their directional hearing so that it's almost on par with regular hearing persons. So,
So it's sort of like the whole fact that they've realized by wearing masks that a lot of people are using lip reading along with hearing to understand what people are
well,
saying.
yeah.
Because
And
without the mask, you're
on
going,
a completely side note, there have been people out there that have gone, oh, well, mask only reduce volume like 0.1%. They don't even reduce it a full decibel. Well, it's not just the volume, it's the lack of the lip reading,
right.
and it's the change in the timbre and the quality of the sound, because this is not interrupting the volume of my sound very much, but it probably is impacting the quality of the sound, and it's making it sound a little bit muffled, whereas if I go back and do this, now it's not muffled anymore.
Exactly.
And,
And you
yeah,
don't have to look, and your lips are the cue. If you have
right,
any question, your mind just takes it and, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So, anyways, moving on, because I want to get through as much of this as we can before we have to call it, because my little timer up here says an hour 5 minutes.
Okey-doke.
We don't want to run too long and keep you guys too long from the rest of your day. So,
Yeah.
the John Michael Jarre concert for the New Year's. Tony of theghosthowl.com, so it's Guard Ghost. Well, that's not actually. The Ghost Howl blog is what I meant to say. He was one of the, or he was the instrumental person behind it. It seems like, or one of the two most influential people, and he wrote a big blog post detailing insights that uh, from the making of the concert. And one thing that I found interesting was I thought, oh, it must be pre-recorded, because I jumped back in and it started me over. Turns out, yes and no. And it was not pre-recorded. It was being done live, but it was only live in one room in VR chat, because the actual person could only be in one room. Unlike in alt space, where they can be projected into multiple rooms, they can only be in one room. So they had basically one room where he was live, and it was super high quality. That was the absolute best experience, and you had to have a high-end computer to do that room. Then they had a VIP room, which was almost as good, but he wasn't live, obviously. This was the projection of him. And then they had all the other rooms where they had it, and so both of those rooms were world synchronized instead of local synchronized, so that if somebody left and came back in, they'd be in the middle of the concert, not at the beginning, and they had to make sure everybody who started it had exactly the same time, which is why they had to be there early, just so that everyone was synced. But then all the other rooms, which is what I was in, those were the lowest quality of the PC VR chat worlds, and I mean, still a great experience, but they couldn't have it open to 40 people and have it be world synchronized when they couldn't control who was coming in, who was coming out, and because they would get out of the sync for everybody, and so they had it locally synced so that only I saw the exact time that I started. Have you joined in a second after me? Your performance started a second after mine. So I'd be a second ahead, you'd be a second behind.
Well, and that's the way that streams work whenever you
Right,
go to use
right,
anything. You start the stream.
right. But I'm just saying that the decision that they had to make in the design for it. So basically, it was going back to the beginning of the recording that was being made at time, and so starting over at the beginning of the recording if I left and came back in. And the Quest rooms were the worst, because that was basically a giant curved screen in front of them with a 2D projection of the VR chat video.
Oh my God. I'm so glad I didn't go.
And it had um, stuttering and buffering issues because the 40 users in the room and all of that, and and they couldn't have anything interactable in the room.
What a way.
So he learned yet again focus more on the quest so that the majority of the people get a good experience. But
I
it was
think
still a
so.
better to done one than the first John Michael Jarre concert, which was really a letdown for a lot of people because a lot of people didn't get to see it at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one definitely was a major improvement from that one. So
I mean, that's good, but yeah, I mean, they have to start designing for headsets like the Quest as opposed to PC VR headsets because honestly, the price difference between the two is insane.
I know, I know. What other to take away from his blog post on it that I found really cool? Um, they used Notre Dame at the location, right?
Mhm.
They didn't have the time to make a good model of Notre Dame. So what they did was they used the free model of Notre Dame that Ubisoft made
Right.
available for people that were doing cultural or events and things with it.
Makes
As a
sense.
result of their 2 years of scanning it
Right.
prior to it being burned.
Which
So
is amazing that the timing on that. But
yeah,
yeah,
so
that's
that's a kind of a beautiful chain of events right there.
right.
Yeah,
I know. It's a Bob Ross magical moment.
yeah.
Loving
Happy
it.
accidents, yes.
Exactly.
So speaking of happy accidents, this has nothing to do with happy accidents, but it does have something to do with happy, kind of.
Okay.
Uh, the first eye socket repair surgery using AR and 3D printing occurred in Israel.
Yes, just 2 weeks ago.
Uh, yeah, they used that there were at least two doctors. One of them was using the HoloLens, I believe, to overlay the uh, scan and reconstruction of where things should be and all that.
Mhm.
And they used 3D printing to create the little piece that would go in there and fill the crack.
Right.
So
It was amazing. It really
yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
like, okay, they're actually going to use it now for something other than, you know,
yes, yeah. We've been hearing all these promises about how it's going to be used in medicine and all that, and here we have it being used. So
right, exactly.
that's pretty cool.
I can't wait to see where it goes, really.
Yeah, yeah. Also, Spark AR enabled testing on the Quest 2. Which sounds a little bit weird because that's AR, but what it is you can have a VR environment where you can test not the kind, but the out there kind of AR. So kind of like Mars in Unity, where you can put up surfaces and whatnot in there and to test the interaction on the surfaces. So
But that's for now. I mean, this
yeah,
is, I know that you've heard me talk about this before a few times, and other people have said to me, well, what would be the purpose of adding AR to VR? There's a lot that you
yeah,
could do by adding AR to VR. I mean, oh my God, I can't even begin to tell people how this will change things. And when I saw that they were allowed, that Spark can run in VR, we're not very far from
yeah,
AR objects and really being able to
yeah.
just go.
And it is pretty cool, and I believe that it does not require you to be plugged into the computer. Just be in the same room on the same network, and then click test in VR, and it'll load up on the headset and whatnot. So
That was the way the article made it sound, for sure.
yeah. So it is pretty cool, and it's a Facebook product interacting with a Facebook product. So that's of course they're going to integrate a Facebook product with a Facebook product. I'm not expecting to see Snap Studio having a Quest 2 app anytime soon, but that's a competing product,
Yeah, I know, but still, I could see them coming up with something like that on there.
Yeah.
It really all depends on the growth of the individual.
Yeah. And speaking of competing products, CES is beginning tomorrow, as of this recording, and Nolo VR is unveiling headsets, including a Nolo VR X1 complete standalone one that will work with Steam and whatnot, and a one that some people have that's yet unnamed, but is an inside-out tracking standalone one that uses the 2 cameras for the sticked-off slam detection, and it uses ultrasound presumably for the controllers. So it's calling it SODAR, not radar, not LiDAR, but SODAR, as in sound depth and ranging. I thought we already had that. Isn't it called sonar?
Yeah, it is. That's why I just thought, hey, then you have a new. That's crazy. That really is. But yeah, I mean, we've been using sonar forever, so I don't see why it wouldn't work now. I mean, it worked in World War II. It should still work.
True, but we weren't using it for fine granular controllers detecting the difference between here and here. So.
Once again, it's a matter of degrees. So it's not a new tech. It's just a matter of degrees.
Right. So fine tuning it, and so. But our next bit of news is CES starts on Monday. CES 2021 starts on Monday, and it will be all virtual, but not virtual reality virtual, just on your screen virtual, like we're virtual right now.
Yeah, I'm getting so tired of people using the word virtual for anything that has to do with a screen on a digital.
It should be called remote.
Digital.
That's more accurate.
It's called digital.
So CES will be all online, all digital, all remote. That's more accurate, in my opinion.
It'll be streamed.
Yeah.
It's like, it won't be virtual. It's not virtual. It's people.
Yeah. It's real. It's just remote.
Yeah.
It's telepresence at a distance.
It's not Zoom is not virtual reality, people. No. WhatsApp is not virtual reality. It's just not.
It could be considered close to augmented reality, though, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah.
We could give that, like I'm doing right here, you can put a virtual background, so technically I'm using augmented reality right now because of my background.
You're not using a virtual background right now.
I'm not. Did it went away?
Yeah, you've been using the background, which pretty much adequately explains where you are right now.
Okay, I had it on this. I don't know why it
wow, you just got.
That's what I had at the beginning.
You just beamed into space. That's incredible. Wow.
So now I'm using augmented reality. That's what I had that set selected at the beginning. I don't know how it got unselected. Anyways, strike that, reverse that. Thank you. Willy Wonka quote. So our last little bit of news is the Business Insider has a slightly negative article about AR and VR's spotlight at CES 21 or 2021. I keep.
Yeah, I know. We'll call it 20.
It says, while AR/VR will be a topic of discussion at CES, market growth in 2021 will be limited by a lack of innovative and affordable hardware.
Yeah.
I'm like, have they not heard of the Oculus Quest 2?
Have they not heard of the Oculus Quest 2? Surely you must be joking.
You the British accent for that.
Oh yes, there's no other way to say that. I'm sorry. No, really, it really is like, sir, can I have your attention for a moment?
Yeah.
Put this on, please. Wow, this is a remarkable piece of hardware. So,
yes. It says devices will account for 2/3 of all AR/VR spending by 2024, but a lack of VR hardware from Facebook, Apple, and other leading consumer-focused tech companies will dampen consumer interest in VR in the near term. Again, I'm like, have you not seen the sales numbers for the Quest 2?
What was it? 7 times the user base within 2 months of its release from the original?
Something like that, yes.
Remarkable. Just, I know, it's incredible.
Really remarkable.
But this sounds like an article from Forbes, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so tired of people calling the death of AR and VR that I don't think they want. I really don't. You just put Disney World into my house.
Yeah. They do have some valid points. Like Facebook has the market power to drive usage of AR and VR, but a serious antitrust investigation might just hamper the new products that's coming out.
Yeah, I would say they made a very
mistake. Is a valid point.
Oh, and the fact that they're now tying WhatsApp into it as well. I mean, seriously, yeah, they're going to have real problems with that. And I'm not saying I wouldn't jump out of this ecosystem just because of that issue.
Right.
But, you know, that being said, that doesn't mean that there's not hardware. You might have other issues, but that doesn't mean that hardware isn't there.
Right. And so personally, I think that the Quest 2 is a very affordable piece of hardware. It's as affordable as an Xbox or a PlayStation 5, really.
More.
You know? Yeah.
More.
Yeah. And their smart glasses are they're going to come out with smart glasses before they come out with the AR glasses. Most likely, they're going to be probably around the same price as the Quest 2, maybe a little bit less, I think. And Apple is quite possibly going to come out with its AR glasses this year. And likewise, unless they are really stupid, which Apple is not really known for being really stupid, that will probably also be in the affordable range, at the very least, if you go through your carriers and subsidize it, you know. So
3 times the price of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do expect the Apple AR glasses to be more expensive than the Facebook ones, but you will probably also have the option of subsidizing it through a carrier in the U.S. I don't know what the options would be overseas, but in the U.S., a lot of the Apple devices tend to be subsidized by the carriers as well. So.
Yeah, the only place where I actually see that coming into being an issue is sort of like the Facebook issue, in the sense that, do you really want to check a person's credit rating for being able to carry a phone line compared to wearing a headset? Right.
But it remains to be seen. Hopefully, it's just an affordable price and doesn't have to be subsidized by the carriers. Um, I mean, iPads are kind of affordable prices, around $329 for the low end ones or whatever. But I would hope that it said this would be less than that. That it'd be Quest 2 64 gigabytes pricing at most.
I don't, because the last time,
Preferably less than that.
the only way that Apple lowered its price on its devices was by going backwards and selling people older devices. That was really the way that they did it.
I mean, I'm not expecting it to be more affordable than the Facebook one. No, but hopefully it's affordable enough that it helps get this off the ground.
It really depends on what it is displaying. I mean, that's going to be the big thing. And also how many people are going to avoid you because you're wearing glasses that you think are spying on them.
Right. Well, I spy on people all the time. They just don't know it because I'm constantly recording what I see. It's called memory.
We're not supposed to tell people about our augmented... Don't you remember the speech?
I don't have augmented memory. I just have really good memory.
Wow. Before we landed on this planet, and they told us, don't reveal this to anyone. And here you are, giving away these secrets. But anyway.
I will have you know, I'm not from the planet Blargle.
You're not?
No.
Uh-oh. All right, forget I said that.
So anyways, that brings us to the end of our news and the end of our show and the end of our ropes.
Uh-oh.
So, with no further ado, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you for spending that extra almost half hour of watching. We appreciate it. Forgive us our ramblings. And ramble not against other people.
Ramble not.
Remember to like, subscribe, and drag your friends over and force them to play drunken bar fight unless they like and subscribe us.
Where you put Richie's plank.
Yes. Force them to walk off Richie's plank if they don't like and subscribe to us.
There you go.
And make sure that you record them doing that and then post it on YouTube.
And give us credit.
Give Brad credit for the idea. It wasn't mine.
I'll be looking forward to seeing what you send us.
So, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy. Please tell us what you liked and didn't like about the show. We will ignore what you don't like and no. Have a great day. Bye.
Take care, folks.